Today on Newsource at 5, the effects the Ukrainian conflict is having on gas prices here in Northeast Georgia. A look at a new Oconee Middle School, the cost behind it, and its necessity. We also learn about International Cat Rescue Day and the importance of fostering here in Georgia. All that and more ahead on Grady Newsource at 5.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening, I'm Brendan Kerner and this is Grady Newsource at 5. We begin our show today with the crisis in Ukraine. Grady Newsource reporters are covering the story from different angles. Elle Jacobson reports on a student's support from the people of Ukraine, but first to Brianna Smith with the conflict's impact on rising gas prices in Georgia.
I went to 3 different places, and it's just like the prices it's just ridiculous. Keep rising.
Uncertainty from the Ukraine conflict is further driving up already high gas prices. Gas is up 18 cents since last week. AAA representative Montre Waiter says that many factors like demand and crude oil costs affect how much consumers spend at the pump.
As to why gas prices is going up is crude oil. Crude oil accounts for almost half of the price of gas prices. Now crude oil is trending over $100.
Prices in Athens are trending below the national average, but U.S. sanctions on Russia could further affect gas prices.
So the United States, for instance, doesn't import any Russian oil. It would still drive global prices up to the Russian economy and to these sanctions that we would put on Russia.
Now, I just filled my tank for $49. That is almost $1 below the average that other motorists in Athens spend to fill a 15-gallon tank. However, consumers could pay more in upcoming weeks. AAA speculates prices to rise at least another 5 to 15 cents.
About it, but I just also feel with the situation in Ukraine, if that's a small sacrifice for us to help them, I mean, I'm all for that.
Other consumers are considering alternatives to curb costs, like traveling less and even making the switch to electric.
It's not cheap, but I'm looking to sell this guy and get something electric, which is hopefully will help.
Brianna Smith, Grady Newsource.
With Ukraine in crisis after the Russian invasion last week, students here in Athens wanted to show their support for the country. Grady Newsource reporter Elle Jacobson has more.
Students in the International Policy Master's Program at the University of Georgia organized a demonstration today on UGA's North Campus in support of Ukraine amidst the Russian invasion. With the program so focused on international relations, students have been closely watching everything unfold and have even seen one of their own classmates with Ukrainian family be very tied to conflict overseas.
A lot of us are basically monitoring the Ukraine invasion 24/7. And so we've seen firsthand some of the horrors that are going on there, and we wanted to kind of show our support for Ukraine and for our classmate.
Students gathered today with signs of support, flags, and flyers listing resources for people to get involved. All this being done for something that a lot of young Americans have never seen before.
Anytime there's war and conflict, there's civilians who are being killed and, people losing their livelihoods, and that's something that's very serious. And we should always try and, support people who are being unjustly oppressed through military conflict like this.
With the demonstration today and one organized by the group earlier this week, they're looking to continue showing support for the country in crisis.
I would ask that you just don't forget about them. This isn't something that's going to be front page news now and go away. This is going to be a long-term issue for them.
Elle Jacobson for Grady Newsource.
Oconee County has a new solution to declutter their website reports and de-litter their streets. Grady Newsource reporter Lauren Tier picks up the details on this news project.
The quicker we can get it up and remove it, the better we feel that works for our community. So by having the app and being able to report right away, we can deal with it right away.
A new app will enable residents to keep their county clean with a few taps on a screen. And Cindy Pritchard, Executive Director of Keep Oconee County Beautiful Commission, is optimistic about its impact. Over the weekend, Pritchard and her county partners launched this app to help residents efficiently report dumping and littering sites. With the help of Oconee's Geographic Information System and the government's communications department, the app was developed in a matter of months.
We felt like with everybody using their phones And the fact that if you see something and you don't report it right away, it might kind of get lost on the wayside.
While KOCBC has a dumping and litter concerns reporting page on their website, Pritchard and her team believe the app will be used more frequently and therefore keep Oconee County as litter-free as possible. Oconee County Communications Manager Diane Baggett designed the app.
I think it really fits into our overall plan of trying to really meet people where they are and make it more convenient for citizens to be involved in their government.
The app is free and available for iOS devices. To report a concern, first search KOCBC in the App Store and download the app. Tap New on the homepage, select the type of report you want to file, add the location of your concern, add any media such as photos, type in any final details, and submit the report. Lauren Tier, Grady Newsource.
Last night, the Athens-Clarke County Commission voted to increase commissioner salaries from $15,000 a year to almost $29,000 a year. This item took up a majority of the commission's meeting time, and ultimately, the ordinance was passed with a 6-4 vote. Other topics discussed in the commissioner meeting was a school resource officer agreement for the 2022-2023 academic year, funding for electric vehicles around the county, and more. The commission will meet again tomorrow at 1 p.m. virtually. Oconee County has begun construction on a new multi-million-dollar middle school. Grady Newsource reporter Delaney Tier has the details on what this means for Northeast Georgians.
This construction site will soon be the newest institution in Oconee County, Dove Creek Middle School. The school is set to open in 2023 with a $36 million price tag. Dove Creek will house 1,000 students with 62 instructional units. Oconee County Schools Communications Director Anissa Jimenez says the development is much needed.
We've known that we needed to go ahead and build a third middle school. Every year, even during COVID years when many other school systems declined in enrollment, we continued to increase our enrollment, so our community continues to grow.
Since 2015, Oconee County schools have seen an increase of over 1,000 students enrolled. The growth in Oconee County has led to new developments like the upcoming Wire Park area in Watkinsville, but not everyone is on board with the county's expansion. The recent construction on Wire Park and announcement of Dove Creek Middle School sparked anger from some on social media. Oconee School's parent Angie Buffington doesn't take issue with the changing county, though.
There is still a small town feel here, which I love. There's great people, so it all depends on how you look at things, and I just choose to look at it that this growth has lots of potential for the county.
But the development isn't without impacts. The Board of Education has cleared a redistricting timeline for Dove Creek, which will determine what school students in the area attend.
This redistricting, we're looking at the entire county for this one.
Jimenez says anything is on the table for redistricting, but the community will be involved. Delaney Tarr, Grady Newsource.
Next, find out how one UGA student turned her small local business into a national success.
As you get older, like your body changes, you'll learn. And my skin has been changing, and I just noticed that as I used Gently products, that it always responded positively to that.
This is Megan Perry's skin after using Gently soap to treat her eczema. Gently is a Black woman-owned business that sells products that cater to people with sensitive skin. UGA graduate Kristen Dunning founded Gently, which has made its ways into retailers all over Athens and across Georgia.
Growing up, I always suffered with sensitive skin and eczema. I knew what it felt like to kind of go to your local CVS or a drugstore or pharmacy and not be able to find anything.
In the U.S., the number of minority-owned businesses is 18.7%. Gently has gone national. However, despite much commercial success, another of Dunning's goals is to have a brand that represents communities that are overlooked.
And I also wanted to just support underserved populations. So I wanted to have suppliers that look like me. And I think that kind of has resonated with my brand as well.
As Dunning continues to see success for her business, it inspires other students, such as Perry.
A female Black student at UGA, sometimes it's overwhelming, but she talks about when she's a millionaire, when her products hits regular shelves in places like Target or whatever. It's not if for her, it's going to be a win.
Gently Soap has seen success locally and nationally and currently has plans to partner up with major retailers such as Amazon. Dunning hopes this will inspire more students to continue to chase their dreams. For Grady Newsource, I'm Osborne.
Today is Ash Wednesday. Grady Newsource reporter Melissa Garcia shows how the Catholic Center at UGA celebrates and why they find it important to do so.
Ash gets passed out as students come up to the table the Catholic Center has set up for the beginning of Lent at Tate. Today is Ash Wednesday, which is done 46 days before Easter Sunday. The practice of wearing ashes on one's head comes from the ancient Jewish tradition of penance and fasting. The ash is also said to be the dust from which God made humans.
There are a lot of Catholic students at the University of Georgia. I think there are over 5,000 registered Catholics. And so it's important for us to be out here on campus distributing the ashes.
Events like this are important to Catholic students in order to represent their beliefs.
When people see a cross on your forehead, they're like, what's going on? They're like, there's a smudge on your forehead, right? Like, I think you should clean off and be like, oh, it's a great conversation starter about telling people about the faith.
The Catholic Student Ministry at the University of Georgia is only one of many other churches celebrating Lent. This Day of Atonement is important and something that other religions strive for, similar to Ramadan and Yom Kippur.
There's a great community where people are learning about Christ together, whether it be in the Bible studies, the ministries, they have Seeking Water, where they have adoration. So it's a great community, and people are very welcoming.
Lent will go on until Easter, which is April 16th. Melissa Garcia, Grady Newsource.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at legislation the Georgia General Assembly involving censorship on social media.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Regardless of where you are on your path to retirement, you can still take charge of your financial future today. Visit aceyourretirement.org and answer a few questions from Avo, your friendly digital retirement coach, for free tips, resources, and advice customized for your situation to help you feel confident and prepared for retirement. Retirement looks different for everyone. Make sure you're prepared for your financial future at aceyourretirement.org.
Legislators in the Georgia General Assembly are debating a bill that aims to prevent social media platforms from censoring its users. Grady Newsource reporter Hallie Turner has the latest on this piece of legislation.
The Georgia State Senate is currently deliberating Senate Bill 393, which is known as the Common Carrier Non-Discrimination Act, which goes to prevent discrimination against certain viewpoints on social media platforms. Georgia State Senator Greg Dozel, who proposed the bill, believes that Georgia residents have the right to share information regardless of their political, religious, or social views.
So that's really what we're trying to do, is to say you cannot discriminate based on viewpoint, whether it's leftist viewpoint, right, or you're right down the middle.
Under this bill, platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram would not be able to censor content of any type without releasing their rules for removal to the public. If they do, social media users can sue the platform. This bill comes after former President Donald Trump was permanently banned from Twitter. The company said his tweets violated their policy. Political analyst Bill Crane says the only reason we are seeing this bill is because it's an election year.
The intent is to rile people up, to get people registered, to get people to turn out and vote, not to actually pass a law.
People like UGA student Sarah L. Hillo is a part of Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization educating students to promote free market and limited government, believe the passing of this bill would create a broader view.
Only would it maybe like build a bridge between the two sides and help with polarization, because each side would be able to share their own points, but it would help the left in that they're able to become stronger in their own arguments, seeing the other side. How are they supposed to know what to argue if they don't know what the right is saying?
The bill is headed to the Rules Committee, which will determine if it gets a full vote from the Senate and then can be sent to the House. Hallie Turner, Grady Newsource.
The University of Georgia Police Department have determined that a bomb threat reported on campus earlier today is no longer credible. UGA PD Lieutenant Eric Dellinger says they were made aware of a post on the Discord app, which announced an anonymous bomb threat that would occur around 2 p.m.
All I can tell you is that we're investigating.
Police and the K-9 units responded to the threat on campus and even evacuated students from Tate and the Miller Learning Center. They identified an out-of-state server as the source of the threat. General primary qualifying for the Clark County Board of Education elections will begin Monday. Odd number districts including 1, 3, 5, and 7, and 9 will be included on the spring ballot. More than half of the current members for these districts are not seeking re-election. These 3 members are District 1, Representative Greg Davis, District 5, Representative Kara Dykeman, and District 9, Representative Tawana Maddox. Dr. Maddox announced why she will not be running again at last month's school board meeting.
On the grounds, and so I look forward to working with you all. I've learned a lot being on the school board, and you will have a better advocate on the streets.
Voting will take place May 24th. The Board of Regents named former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue Chancellor of the University System of Georgia. Perdue will take over from Teresa McCartney as the 14th Chancellor of the USG and to provide leadership and overview over the 26 state colleges and universities. Perdue will begin his term on April 1st. Coming up next, get ready for warmer weather, and if you're planning on a bonfire tonight, keep a local severe weather alert in mind.
There is a road laid out for me, leading down to
boxes everywhere. And this is gonna be Addie's room.
I am blind, but I need not see.
I think you're really gonna like it.
I know this road is there for me. There is a love waiting for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Ways down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see. I know this love is there for me.
Nice and slow.
I got this. Take me down to the river and wash me.
Okay. What do you think?
What if you could feel in control of your retirement in just a few clicks? At aceyourretirement.org, you can. Start with a free 3-minute chat with Avo, your friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer some simple questions like, how do you feel about your ability to save for retirement? Or in how many years do you want to retire? To get free action items customized just for you, get your retirement back on track at aceyourretirement.org.
And now, the weather.
I'm Hallie Turner with the Northeast Georgia area weather. If you've been outside in the past few days, then you know it certainly feels like spring is on its way. Starting with today's weather, it is clear with a high of 76, and tonight you'll want to have a jacket as it will drop to a low of 48. As we head into the 5-day forecast, temperatures will remain in the 70s and will graze the 80s on Sunday. Throughout the evening this week, temperatures will drop to the 40s and 50s. This will bring gusts of winds that may reach up to 15 miles per hour. The wind is a concern with fires over the north and central parts of Georgia due to low relative humidities. The National Weather Service has released a special weather statement this morning that will place the north and central counties in Georgia under a fire warning until this evening. With dry fuels in the area, high fire danger conditions are expected. If you are wanting to burn outdoors, please contact your local authorities before doing so. Hallie Turner, Grady Newsource.
Coming up next, we'll hear about the MLB lockdown, Georgia's new offensive line coach, and the best represented school at the NFL Combine.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
And now, sports.
Welcome to Grady Newsource Sports. I'm Anna Hughes. Major League Baseball is postponing opening day because of a lockout. This means that the owners have stopped all activity until an agreement is made about players' salaries. This collective bargaining agreement decides the terms and conditions of the players' contracts. Opening day was scheduled for March 31st, but the first 2 series of regular season games will not be played. Now, the regular season will not start before April 7th, and spring training games will not start until March 12th. UGA football head coach Kirby Smart is bringing back Stacy Searles as the new offensive line coach. Searles is no stranger to Georgia. He was the offensive line coach at UGA from 2007 to 2010 under Coach Mark Richt. During his career, he has produced 25 NFL offensive linemen and 11 NFL draft picks. And speaking of the NFL, Georgia football has the most players in the 2022 NFL Combine, with 14 players competing. The Combine will take place at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis starting tomorrow and ending on Saturday. That's all today for sports. Anna Hughes, Grady Newsource.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school.
Jessica has been through a lot in her life from early childhood.
My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She came in looking to complete her diploma. She had a family she had to take care of. Anytime she needed help, we provided her help. She realized that we were here for her.
She wants to have a career so her kids could look up to her.
My graduation, it was something I will never forget. I couldn't explain the emotion I was feeling because people like you and me sometimes may have doubts in ourselves, but I feel that everything's possible.
Jessica's future is brighter than ever.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
The Dutch.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Tonight at 7, the Tate Student Center will be hosting a viewing of the film Uncle Honker. Cash Robinson, the director, writer, and producer of the film, made the movie in Athens after receiving a $5,000 grant. Cash says the low budget forced them to find inventive ways to get the movie done, including filming shots in the No-Go Express and other places around Athens.
My movie just won't have this in it because I can't do it. But it's another challenge that I think everyone should take to see in what way they can.
Despite this being the film's first public viewing since it ended production this past September, the movie has already seen international success, being included in the Anatolia Film Festival in Turkey. Today is International Cat Rescue Day, where we look at the importance of rescuing a homeless cat. Grady Newsource reporter Amro Wariat speaks to some foster cat owners.
International Rescue Cat Day urges people to adopt a cat from a pet adoption agency or a homeless cat out on the street. Athens Clark County Animal Services picked up 853 stray cats during 2021, where only 512 were transferred to rescue. Emily fosters cats in her free time and says that the weather in the South has a lot to do with the oversaturation of cats.
South, with the weather being as it is, it's really good for booming cat populations. So there is just an oversaturation of cats being outdoors.
Heather is a coordinator with Circle of Friends Animal Society and has fostered cats for 4 years. She says that people should adopt rather than buy cats from a breeder.
Try to go to a breeder and you go and you buy an animal, then there are all these homeless pets that are just kind of left outside. They're starving, they're sick, they're unhappy.
Fausto has rescued and adopted 2 cats and says that adopting a cat can help give them a happy ending.
Buying from PetSmart or breeders and stuff like that is just really taking an animal out of a situation that's not really ideal and might not have the best ending for them and kind of giving him a better situation, So I think it can be equally important for the person who's doing the rescuing and for the animal that's being rescued as well.
In the spirit of International Rescue a Cat Day, you can go to your closest shelter and adopt an adorable fluffy friend to save from homelessness. Grady Newsource, Amro Warayat.
That's all from us here at the studio, and until next time, I'm Brennan Kerner with Grady Newsource. Have a fantastic night.
Grady Newsource is a student production of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Touchdown!
we scored?
Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that? I'm playing with these new face filters. Okay, you know what?
Yep, that's mine.
I'm gonna need that back.
No.
Kevin!
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Taylor, we're good? All right. Really good job, guys. I know we've had some struggles with shows recently, but I thought this one went really, really smooth. So shout out to everyone for doing such a great job today. The biggest thing I've noticed is, well, for VOs and stuff like that, I know V mentioned it to Cole earlier, but let's try to keep that one instead of having like 5 different VOs, and try to time up the VOSOTs better so we can avoid that confusion. But that's more like editorial stuff, so I don't feel obligated to talk about that. And then we had a little issue in pre-recording with camera focus, so I think we just gotta try to stand still a little bit better. But overall, really fantastic job, guys. I did receive pretty disturbing news this morning, so I needed something like this today. Anyways, Professor V.
Received a bomb threat, and thank you, Oz, for flagging that. We were able to, I think this was an upsetting, teachable moment for you, for Adrian as a producer, for you, for all the rest of us. You had to make very important decisions, personal, because I told you, if you feel, you know, that you're not comfortable, you don't feel safe, you will not get an absence, you're free to go. And all of you here stayed. It turned out, of course, that it wasn't a credible threat, that it was done by a computer somewhere outside our state. So things were okay, and we had some very interesting discussions that I think you can carry on in your careers. How do we handle a bomb threat? The tricky part is, you know, to protect people at the same time, but not overly exaggerate it and upset people and cause panic and play into the hands of someone who I don't understand how people can do this, but obviously they can. And so initially, Adrian had it as his top story. Before we were able to confirm, before 2 o'clock, the threat was supposed to go, the supposed bomb was supposed to go off at 2 o'clock. We were still here before that. And then we had to make other decisions as we realized that this police confirmed to us that it's not a credible threat. So we made decisions as to where to place the show and how to write it. Pardon? What am I doing wrong? Okay, yes. Thank you. All right. So There were other teachable moments. I will just share them really quick, and I'd like to hear from Adrian's point of view. I thought he did an excellent job as a producer. He was very well prepared, and I asked him to share with you his preparation process. He was right on the mark. He had lead stories. He had a vision in mind. He had his lead stories in mind. I'm very impressed. In the last moment, I try not to do this, to write leads and stuff, because I want you to do those, but at the last moment we were running out of time when we realized that we were trying to decide which Ukraine story we wanted to lead with. And initially we had to do the human, but we talked this morning that we need to write Ukraine. So, but it turned out that there were just 15 people. Elle went there. There were just 15 people, which is still a turnout. It shows for the second time this week that UGA students care. And it wasn't as, first of all, we did the first demonstration on Monday, which had a much bigger turnout. Today's, maybe because of the bomb threat or whatever, I don't know. It didn't have. So Adrian had to decide between starting with the economic story, which was very well done. It had numerous sources and aspects and a beautiful stand-up, and I really commend you, Brianna, for this, and I hope you put this on your portfolio. So we had a very strong package which addressed an issue affecting a lot of people, impacting a lot of people who are trying to put food on the table yet paying those prices. And so she had a very well put together researched piece, and then we had to think. So we still want to show people the sensitivity and that we care about Ukraine. But we also want to start with the gas prices, the economic side of the story, the economic impact of this. And so what I did is I wrote a so-called mini umbrella lead, which is I introduced both stories so that people knew that we were covering both the human and the economic angle. And we went first to the economic angle, and then we went to the human angle. So this is something you can remember when, as a producer, you're struggling in any situation with decisions like that, which are so important to your reputation, to everything, showing sensitivity to people. This is one way you can go, where you still introduce the human, the important story, and then you say, but first we will do this. So what I wrote, something like Grady Newsource, the conflict in Ukraine is, I don't know what I forgot what I wrote, but I introduced the conflict in Ukraine, that it's had an impact, and Grady Newsource reporters are covering different aspects of this story, including students gathering today to show support for the people of Ukraine. But first, we go to Brianna, who tells us, how the conflict is impacting rising gas prices. So does this make sense? So this is the way. It's called an umbrella lead, and it's done more. This was like a mini one, but the umbrella lead means we introduce several stories together on the same topic, covering different angles. So that is one thing that we did differently today. The other thing was handle our first bomb. And so there's one more thing I want to say before I hand it over to Adrian and I hand it over to you guys. Stand-ups. I think I mentioned that, but I need to mention it again. When you do a stand-up, don't say, I'm so-and-so, Grady Newsource. Do a stand-up with something you have to say, you can say. Some kind of fact, not just your name. That does not deserve a stand-up. And so one of our packages had just, I'm so-and-so. Say something substantial, and say it in an appropriate location. One of the Yeah, because you worked so hard and on this story, and I didn't quite understand the logic having a stadium. If it was about sports, I totally understand it, but just something you can think about. Always have a relevant place to stand. I understand that you had a lot of technical issues with that story. You really struggled with it. You lost one of the interviews. You were not able to. You went all the way to Atlanta, and you still weren't able. It rained. But still, try to think about relevant backgrounds. Yeah, yeah. And if you were doing a look live from the Georgia legislature, then I understand starting and ending a look live. But yours was not at the place where, so you weren't literally reporting a look live, you know, standing in front of the place where the news is happening. Does that make sense? So I would suggest you just kind of tuck that in the back of your mind. But you did it, you know, you did a great job, and I'm really proud of you. This is not an easy story. I was telling Hallie, I really appreciate that she is challenging herself to do such complex issues. That is not easy, and I really appreciate it. I just, because I know how much you worked on it, I didn't understand why you had the stadium in the background. But it's okay, but just something that I want to mention for stand-ups. It's got to be yours was a relevant background, but it was only a sig out. Yours was a very well thought out stand-up, but because you had rain in the place, the relevant background, maybe you could have asked me, or we could have talked about where it would be relevant, but obviously you went with somebody else's suggestion to go to the stadium and do that. So that's up to you, but I can also help you. So these are things about stand-ups to think about. Delaney, your stand-up was right on the mark. Very relevant
Yeah, yeah, no, that's my bad. In terms of preparation, I mean, right now there's the Ukraine thing is like so big that obviously, hearing that we were gonna, well, first off, knowing that Brianna had the gas prices story, which is extremely relevant, I knew that, I mean, that goes without saying that had to go first, or that had to be a top story. And then the protest itself was originally gonna lead, but obviously being small scale, and not necessarily as impactful as something like the gas prices. I work with V, and it was definitely the better move to not be the lead story. In terms of, I guess, more preparation, the way that I kind of approached it was like last night looking at story pitches, I kind of just thought, what would V say to all of these pitches? And then, so like if I thought it was solid, if I thought it probably already had good B-roll, that's why I texted a few of you. Have you already got your interviews? Have you already confirmed that you're going to get your interviews? Just to make sure that the packages would be full. Obviously, the B block still didn't really have, it only had the one package. But that was it in terms of preparation. I mean, I watched the beginning of the State of the Union address and when he was talking about Ukraine and stuff, but then I honestly just kind of like turned it off. But I knew that that was the most relevant, most important thing to talk about today. So that was that. In terms of the show itself, I really wanted to thank Matthew, Ansley, Melissa, Elle, and I think I don't know if I know somebody else. Just for being able to like quickly be on, I think I pivoted with Melissa like 5 times, and she was always just really willing to work through it. Elle, I mean, the protest was like last minute. We found out about it last night. And I know that you originally tried to get in contact with the professor, so that was huge. Matthew with the story on the film production, and Delaney, thank you for getting that set up for us. Without the, I mean, it goes without saying, but without the teamwork that everybody's kind of getting together, I mean, it makes things a lot easier. And honestly, y'all had me chilling most of the day because y'all were on top of your stuff. So I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. Well, actually, sorry, I do have a couple more notes. Oh, I mean, I don't know if this is really my place, but let's check our lower thirds. There was typos in the lower thirds. So, okay, yeah. So just double check, triple check everything. Yes, Selene. That too. Right. I think over spring break we need to arrange. Just send them in the Slack or something, like the zip file. It doesn't work like that? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then just also what Michael said about the timings with the VO SOTs and making that line up. I think if whoever's planning on having like a VO SOT, talk to the anchor and talk to the production, just kind of line up right. Obviously we're all super busy, but it's like a 1-minute conversation probably. And I know at one point I think on our first or second show had a VO SOT about the fire at Longhorn, and it was a complete mess, and it was because I didn't talk to anybody about getting that lined up right. So I think if we just do that, it'll make a lot better quality of a show. Yeah. I should definitely should have. I had it. I'm not gonna lie. I had it on. I just tuned out. Yeah. Brennan? Oh wait. I'll get it over to you, Brendan. In a second. You go.
Yeah, today was a crazy day. Especially for the digital side of things and the breaking news on that, because we tried to post it to Twitter. And that was a whole hot mess. But one thing, and now I'm going to have to start doing this whenever, because like Adrian said, I didn't do this. But as a digital producer, we also have to, it goes through Dr. Bright, and it has to be approved through her. So being able to link things, and so she knows, like we link in scripts with Professor V. If you'll just go ahead and send those to the digital producer, it makes it a lot faster and quick and everything. But that's all I have to say, because I didn't do that either.
Also, Brendan, you smile too much, bro. You're too happy.
First off, I'd like to say, Delaney, I do know your last name. I apologize for saying that wrong. Yeah, I know. That was, and then, yeah, so just, first order of business, do your due diligence when you are the anchor. I probably only checked with half of the packages that were going up on, like, names and pronunciations and stuff. And then the one about the districts, as soon as it got to me, I didn't talk to that person before, and it just kind of threw me off. So do that, and then also make sure you do your laundry as well. I didn't have a collared shirt that was clean for today, so I had to drip out as best as possible. Oh, no, the whole world can know. It don't matter. I'm doing my laundry as soon as I get home.
I could have brought you a shirt. That's off, man. Were we over under 3.5 stutters? Dang it. Alright, so I owe money. We don't actually.
I challenge. Yes, I think the most challenging thing was wording it correctly on such a thing where we didn't really want to like scare people. And that kind of communication between the two of us and Dr. Bright, because people don't know this, but we posted and in such a rush, and then we deleted. And not that anything was like factually incorrect, but just that like we wanted to word it better, in order not to scare people. Yes. But by that point, when we went to like repost it, I guess. The bomb threat had already been kind of like not solved, but fizzled out. And then we just ended up retweeting the University of Georgia's tweet. But yeah, it. Mhm. Mhm.
So this gas price story was very complex, especially with the sourcing and also getting the information updated because I interviewed everyone last week, and so it was just the process. And then I had to refilm my stand-up, which Mhm.
I want to shout out weather and sports because your graphics were actually awesome. Good job. Go Dogs. Mhm. Yep. Yas.